Hello, everyone. Saw that there were two people waiting for me. If you could just kind of check in. Um, you don't necessarily have to say your name, but I'd just kind of like to know who's here. I know I'm here because I can see me, but I can't see you. So that would be lovely if you want to just kind of check in and let me know you're here. In a minute, I think we will do a little more of a check-in, meaning invite you to um, just type in a word, something that you're grateful for. Hello, back to you, James. Um, yeah, I heard about this really cool thing um, that was passed along to me. Somebody suggested that we give some attention to three of our senses and then look for, just kind of pay attention to the things that come up in your awareness. For instance, if I pay attention to what I'm seeing a very calm, quiet meditation hall. And what am I hearing? Well, it's very quiet here. I can, in the distance, hear um, traffic. I can hear the clock in here ticking. And paying attention to what I'm touching, for instance. Um, I have my hands on my knees and I can feel my soft corduroy pants. So I think it's a really cool little exercise to um, find, help us to be mindful and pay attention to what we're sensing around us. So, if you want to engage in that and just think about, what are you sensing? What are you mindful of at this point? And you can just, let me know as you feel like you want to. And I'm going to invite the bell and then read our contemplation. So let's enjoy the contemplation before sitting. The Sangha is invited to go back to our breathing so that our collective energy of mindfulness brings us together as an organism, going as a river with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body. Generate peace as one body. Be free as one body. Let us transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, liberating ourselves from the superiority complex, the inferiority complex, and the equality complex. We are aware that the happiness and suffering of all people is also our own happiness and suffering. We see ourselves in all people and all people in ourselves. We are one with those caught in situations of oppression. We are also one with the oppressors. We are one with the wise and good people who are present everywhere in the world. We are one with those who are able to embrace the whole of this world with their heart of love and their two arms of caring action. We are a people with enough peace, joy, and freedom to be able to offer fearlessness and the joy of life to living beings around us. We see that we are not alone. the love and the joy of great beings who are present in this world are supporting us, not allowing us to drown in despair, and showing us the way of understanding, compassion, and right action. So before we start our first guided meditation, in fact, it'll be the only meditation that we do this evening. As I was reading that contemplation, I thought how appropriate it is for this particular time. Um, I won't kind of go through it line by line, but um, I really think it's important for us to remember that we are a collective energy. And if we can be a collective energy of mindfulness, then we are really adding something important and beneficial to our world. That second stanza starts, let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, generate peace as one body, be free as one body. Thinking about Sangha, not just our little community. Um, Actually, our community isn't little. We have something like 3,000 people on the email list. We don't see all those people, but I consider them a part of our Sangha. And in fact, I consider this whole North Texas area as part of our Sangha. And if I think about it even bigger, I can think about people that I know in Texas who are practicing in the same way that we are. So our Sangha is big. And when we can do what the second part of that contemplation says, transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, if we can get ourselves out of that way of delusive thinking, stop deluding ourselves, then we can liberate ourselves from all these complexes so that we don't have to think of ourselves as superior to somebody else, inferior to anybody else, even equal, because all of those things are just judgments. So when we are able to transcend the boundary of the delusion, then we can liberate ourselves from all those complexes. And then the next one talks about how we are aware that the happiness and suffering of all people is also our own happiness and suffering, which, just speaks to the Buddhist teaching about interbeing, about interconnection, how we are so interrelated that nothing can exist without everything else. And then in this particular contemplation, Tai goes on to enumerate who we are one with those caught in situations of oppression, and also one with the oppressors, one with the wise and good people who are present everywhere in the world. And he finishes up with this really lovely reminder. We are a people with enough peace, joy, and freedom to be able to offer fearlessness and the joy of life to living beings around us. And then he reminds us we're not alone. We are surrounded and supported by great beings who are present in the world, and that we have their support, that we know they will show us the way of understanding, compassion, and right action. I just am always inspired when I read this. I read it every Wednesday. I do some of it on Sunday night, but I find it just so compelling, and um, it's just incredible to me, a really incredible contemplation. It means a lot to me. I hope you like it. So we're going to prepare for our sitting meditation now, our guided meditation. And I would invite you to settle into whatever you consider to be your meditation posture. Just, finding a comfortable sit, whether it's in a chair, on the floor, on a cushion, even lying down, just a place where you can be comfortable and hopefully not distracted for about 20 or 25 minutes. And once you've found that comfortable place, whenever you're ready, you can just very gently let your eyes close so that your eyelids are just softly resting on your eyeballs. Today was a very sunny day, so you might have been outside and there's a tendency to kind of squint when you're outside in the sun, and your eyes may still be a little bit tense, a little bit in that squint mode. So see if you can let your eyes relax, maybe with your next exhale. You can just let your shoulders drop. We'll just drop into our breathing first of all. The guided meditation that we're going to do tonight is titled Nourishing Good Seeds of My Consciousness. I like this one because it reminds us that when we are nourishing the good seeds of our own consciousness, we are contributing to the collective consciousness. And when we are nourishing the good seeds, then we are providing that benefit to the collective as well. So let's begin our meditation. I will invite the bell, and then we'll begin. So once again, just letting your eyes gently close if you want to. It's okay to leave your eyes open, but if you do that, I suggest that you direct your gaze down toward the floor and use a very soft, kind of unfocused gaze. Breathing in, I feel that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I feel that I am breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Attentive to the rhythm of my in-breath, I breathe in. Attentive to the rhythm of my out-breath, I breathe out. Rhythm of my in-breath, rhythm of my out-breath. Satisfied, relaxed, and without judgment, I breathe in. Solidly established in the present moment, I breathe out. Relaxed and without judgment, solid in the present moment. Knowing that consciousness is a field in which all sorts of seeds are sown, I breathe in, aware that seeds of happiness as well as of suffering are stored in my consciousness. I breathe out. Field of consciousness, many seeds. Aware that meditation can help me recognize the infinite varieties of seeds, I breathe in, learning how to recognize and identify each of these seeds. I breathe out. Infinite variety of seeds. Identifying seeds. Aware that each time I smile, I am sowing seeds of joy in me. I breathe in, practicing to maintain the seeds of joy in me. I breathe out, sowing seeds of joy, maintaining seeds of joy. Knowing that each time I live mindfully, I am planting healthy seeds in me. I breathe in, determined not to lose myself in forgetfulness. I breathe out, living mindfully, not losing self in forgetfulness. Aware that the present moment contains the past and the future, I breathe in. Aware that the secret of transformation is the way I live now, I breathe out. Present moment transformation. Hmm. So take a moment to stretch your legs or your shoulders, your arms, whatever you need to do to be comfortable. Um, so I'm going to share again from Thich Nhat Hanh's book, No Mud, No Lotus, and the one that's called Answers from the Heart. Um, No Mud, No Lotus has a section that's labeled Happiness is Not an Individual Matter. And there are some really good reminders in this. Of course, the whole book is full of good reminders, but this one I think is very appropriate for the circumstance we all find ourselves in. And it's also like the meditation that we did, thinking about consciousness and how there is an individual consciousness, but there's also a collective consciousness that our individual consciousness contributes to. So this piece is called Collective Suffering, Collective Joy. When people come together and produce the energy of mindfulness, concentration, and compassion, it gives rise to a wholesome kind of collective consciousness. This is a good thing to consume. He talks about how at one talk he gave in Germany, there were 1,000 people listening peacefully. And then when the September 11, 2001 attacks happened, Thich Nhat Hanh was in California about to give a public talk. He says, of course, the whole American nation was shaken by the news. The energy of anger and fear was tremendous, and I could feel it. It's very dangerous if we unconsciously allow that kind of energy to penetrate and to harm us. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? The energy of anger and fear was what he felt then and what we certainly are feeling now. Anger and fear kind of go together, don't they? When a person is fearful, it's very common to find something to be angry about. And I don't know, I think that's pretty normal. But it is, as he says, as Ty says, it's very dangerous if we unconsciously allow that kind of energy to penetrate and to harm us. So he says, I gave the talk that night. The talk I gave that night was about calming strong emotions. When a whole community is afraid or angry, their energy is very strong, which can create a desire to strike back right away. But action pushed by the collective energy of anger and fear is not usually right action. We can start a devastating war very easily. So that's what happened in 2011. Now we don't have a war against another nation, but we have a war against the coronavirus. People are talking about it as if it's a war, it's a battle. And I don't think that's a very good consciousness. Anyway, I wish you were here to be able to talk to me about it because I'm sure you would have something you wanted to say. That's just my thought on it. And so he goes on to explain how we can add something positive to this collective consciousness. And it begins, he says, by taking refuge in oneself. When people around you are practicing compassion, they'll be wiser and happier, not only individually, but also as a group. Combining our experiences and insights leads to a collective insight that can be wiser than the sum of its parts. I like to think about that, how contributing to the collective insight with experiences and insight helps to create this wiser wiser perspective. So Tai goes on to say, without a community, it's harder for a person to change anything. If you work in a hospital or a clinic or any place where you have to practice compassion with people in crisis on a daily basis, you know that having colleagues who support you in that practice creates a much more healing effect. A good environment allows the best things in us to manifest. A toxic environment can bring out the worst things in us. So if I think about the current situation that we're in, um, fortunately, I don't need the help of a hospital or a doctor or any other kind of care provider. But I wonder about their the people who are providing those services. I wonder if they're being supported, if they are working from that place of compassion for themselves and for the people they're treating. So I think if we can remember, maybe throughout the week, to just bring those people into our awareness and send them like in a metta meditation. May you be well. May you be safe. We can just think of some very simple sentences while we hold those people in our hearts and in our minds. So Tai goes on to say here, everyone needs a mindful community for support. We can join together to create a healing environment wherever we are. Our family, our classroom, and our workplace can all be mindful communities. When we come together and enjoy practicing mindful breathing together, we produce a collective energy of mindfulness and compassion that is wholesome and very strong. So that's what we just did. We did a practice where we enjoyed mindful breathing and we paid attention to the collective energy. In fact, we focused on it. In our daily lives, many of us are in toxic environments of mutually reinforcing suspicion, competition, greed, and jealousy. Doesn't that sound like something we're going through right now? Not every environment is toxic, certainly, but there are definitely, I think, people and maybe groups who are reinforcing suspicion, competition, greed. I don't know so much about jealousy, but we've seen expressions of greed certainly during this time. And so Tai says we consume our environment as a kind of food, and its good or harmful elements seep into us. So that says to me that I want to be very mindful when I feel that I'm in a toxic environment and just be aware of that so that I don't let it seep into me. I think also, I think it's not beneficial to try to reject it or suppress it or deny it. Typically, that just makes that kind of energy grow. And so what works for me is to simply be aware that this environment feels toxic to me. And so most of the time I'm able to just let it be. Occasionally, I feel that I can kind of reach a place of compassion within me and send that energy out into this environment. But I have to be honest and say I can't always do that. A lot of times I just feel the only thing I can do is acknowledge it and kind of let it be. Hmm. Um, I'd like to know how you manage that sort of thing. Let me continue reading from Thai. You may find yourself in a negative environment you can't get out of due to the realities of family needs or financial constraints. Again, that sounds really relevant. In that case, you can be a force for positive change. Start by creating your own safe harbor, even if it's only one corner of a room or a desk. There are also wholesome communities online that you can join, like this one, like everything that we're offering uh, through the Dallas Meditation Center, with YouTube, with Zoom, with a community gathering online. And he says, don't give up hope. That's important. You can live in such a way that shows compassion is possible in any situation. Set an example, even if it's a small one. Other people can learn from it. The best way to help others lessen their fear, craving, and violence is to show them there is another way. If love has degenerated into hate, it's possible for you to turn the garbage of that hate into a kind of compost to nourish the flower of love to bloom again. I think it's important for us to begin to, or I'll just say for me, to begin to think about um, what can I do when I'm in a situation. Well, for instance, today I had to go to Tom Thumb across the street here from the meditation center to pick up a prescription for my mom. And while I was there, I just kind of cruised the aisles to see if there was anything there that I need. And I noticed that as I was there were people in the store, not a lot, but some. And most people that I passed didn't want to make eye contact, which I thought was very interesting. Um, one woman that I encountered was wearing a mask and gloves. And in fact, she was wearing like scrubs. So maybe she was a nurse or some kind of health practitioner. So she was leaving as I was going in, and she smiled at me. Even I could tell that, even though she had a mask on, because you can tell by the eyes, when somebody's smiling. And I had already picked up a basket, but when I saw her leave, I took that one because I thought she's been using gloves. So maybe it's less contaminated. Anyway, the lady at the pharmacy was very nice, and she gave me um, a wipe to use on my hands, and I also wiped off the handle of the little cart I was using. Um, so other people in the store just seemed really to be worried, anxious. I really felt that, and so I did my best to keep my own composure and when I did get somebody's eye, I smiled and I did my best to stay as far away from people as I could. So, yeah, it's a weird kind of world we're living in right now, but I am convinced, I'm truly convinced that um, it is possible for us to turn, as Ty says, the garbage of hate or anxiety even into a kind of compost to nourish the flower of love, safety, well being, to bloom again. And I think that's what we're called to do. It's what we are doing with these broadcasts that we're doing. At least that is my hope. I think I think actually we are doing a pretty good job of it. And I appreciate that you're here. Um, and Either you seem to be listening or you haven't logged out. I don't know. I want to do also another reading in the last few minutes that we have. Um, I like the part, this is from Answers from the Heart, Thich Nhat Hanh's book. And I like this section that's questions that children ask. I think, they're just so to the point. And this one is very to the point for our current situation. The question is, how can we help others to let go of their fear of physical pain and death? Remember, a child asked this question. So Ty says, first we have to help ourselves. We should know how to handle our own fear and pain. After that, we can help other people because we have direct experience about how to handle the fear and the pain. I like that because, when we try to reassure someone and it's not coming from our own experience, it begins to sound like either a cliche or some kind of judgment or criticism, like you should have known this. So it's really important, I think, that we share from our own experience. And that only comes about if we have taken the time to understand and know how to handle our own fear and pain. There's Ty again. Suffering and pain are not things that we just experience by ourselves. Our fear and suffering is also the suffering of our parents and our friends. You are me, and I am you. If something wonderful happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. If something awful happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. So, in that light, the child is the adult and the adult is the child. This answer comes from the insight of no self. With the insight of no self, you see that your suffering, your fear, is a collective suffering. With the insight of no self, you see that happiness is collective happiness. We are not separated. Suppose you practice to release the tension, the stress, the pain in your body, and then you feel better. Now you know how to practice like this very well. Now, when you see a person who is tense, who has pain in his or her body, you can show him or her how to practice. That person will believe you because you have direct experience. You've walked your talk. That's why it's very important that we're able to do it for ourselves first. Just the way you live your life, the way you react to situations can already be very helpful. Other people see you react in a peaceful and calm way, and they already begin to learn from you. I wonder if any of you would like to add something in the chat. I'll give a few minutes for that before I close. And maybe just to remind you that um, Dallas Meditation Center is still operating. We're still paying rent. I just paid the electric bill today. And there will be other bills that I will pay in the coming days. Rent is due at the first of next month, April 2nd or something like that. So, yeah, just like at home for you, the bills continue here at the Meditation Center. And so I really appreciate when you are able to contribute. Um, any kind of contribution is really appreciated at this time. I know some of you are already contributing monthly, which is very helpful. And there are so many easy ways to contribute. You will find most of those ways on our website. So if you just go to dallasmeditationcenter.com, click on the button donate, that's an easy way. Also easy for those of you that are kind of a little more technically savvy than me, you can text mindful to 44321, and that's an easy way to contribute. So, yeah, I hope you will consider helping us keep our community alive and healthy, not only in this way where we're communicating with one another, but also financially, because it's very important. I really appreciate the comments that I've gotten. I want to say hello to Jennifer. And she says, I really miss you guys and can't wait to see y'all on the other side. Yeah, true that. I wish that too. I appreciate James bowing and enjoying the reading selections. So we still have maybe 2 more minutes if anybody wants to contribute. I am I'm working on, I'll say it that way, I'm working on learning how to navigate in Zoom, which I understand is a better platform in that we would all be able to see one another and that way, and even talk to one another. So at some point, I will navigate over to that other way of doing it. But right now, I do not feel confident. So we're just wanting to stick with what I know. Okay, James is reminding me, and I'm so happy. Thank you, James. Lion's Roar is doing a 5-day free access to Dharma talks and meditations with some of the Plum Village and Order of Interbeing teachers, Plum Village monks and nuns, and Order of Interbeing teachers. It is free, yes, absolutely, and you can still register. So if you Google Lion's Roar, I'm sure you can find a place to register on that. But if you don't find it, email me and I'll send you a link. It started today, but I think everything will be available for the next day or two, and then there will be something every day for the next 5 days. It's really a beautiful thing to tap into. So anything else I need to remind people of? Thank you, James. Oh, Lindy, you sound a little bit like me. She says, just now figured out how to chat. I had that problem the first time I logged on to this too. Yeah. Oh, Jennifer says, hi, Lindy. Oh, maybe you could see that. Of course you could. Sorry. Well, so as we wrap up, we're going to do the 4 vows of awakening beings. And in the Interbeing Sangha, we say limitless Dharma doors instead of limitless truth doors. But however you say it, we know we mean the same thing. So we're going to do that now. I think before we do that, I would really like to do the Medicine Buddha chant. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to put the words online for you. So, hum along or chant if you know it. I think it's just, really helpful and helps us to remember to keep in mind the people that are suffering in whatever way and know that this chant kind of reaches right to the heart of that suffering, offers solace and a reminder that healing is always present. Whenever suffering is present, healing is present as well. So here we go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishya Guru Vaidurya Prabharashaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishya Maha Raja Samukate Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishya Guru Vaidurya Prabharashaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishya Maha Raja Samukate Swaha. Namo Bhagavate Vaishya Guru Vaidurya Prabharashaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishya Maha Raja Samukate Swaha. So let's enjoy our closing chant, and after that we will recite the little piece called Sharing the Merit. Countless beings we vow to free, Ceaseless afflictions we vow to end. Limitless Dharma doors we vow to open. The deepest paths of awakening we vow to realize. And sharing the merit. Practicing the way of awareness and mindfulness gives rise to benefits without limit. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. We vow to offer tribute to parents, teachers, friends, and numerous beings who give guidance and support along the path. And we virtually imagine that we turn our circle outward so that we can share the merit with all beings everywhere. Thank you, dear friends. Stay safe and join us again online. Next DMC online will be noon meditation tomorrow with Miles. And she's even added a Friday noon meditation. And then we will be here on Sunday as well. So stay well and hope to see you again soon. Goodbye, friends.